Hey everybody, Samantha here, back with a new video and also a new series called Science with Samantha. Now this is something that I am trying out with you guys, but basically in this series we're going to be taking a different animal topic each episode, possibly talking about some animal behaviors or processes that happen either in the wild or in your home enclosure, and just talking about them in a little bit more of a scientific manner. So for today's first episode, we're going to be discussing cycling your aquarium, or also known as a nitrogen cycle. Alright, well I hope you guys enjoy this new series and let's get right to it. The nitrogen cycle is a natural process that occurs within your aquarium. I always have people come into my work and say things like, I didn't realize there was so much science that goes into fish keeping. The first thing I tell them is that any aquarium is a living ecosystem. Fish aren't the only living organism that occurs in the aquarium. Of course there will be some science involved. The science starts once you fill it up with water, get your substrate in, and start up your filtration. Now let the process begin. A typical cycle will complete itself in 3 to 6 weeks depending on what method you use, the temperature of the water, and the amount of surface area in your filtration and also in the aquarium. We will discuss all these things later on. Now, let's talk about the nitrogen cycle, plus how and why it occurs. The important reasoning for cycling your aquarium is to build up beneficial bacteria to help make the environment safe for inhabitants. This process occurs in both fresh and saltwater aquariums. Now, you can't just fill up your aquarium and expect the cycle to start on its own. You need some sort of waste to start the production of ammonia. Ammonia is a deadly toxin created by waste, whether it's fish waste, decaying food or plant matter, or a large buildup of waste in your filtration. But ammonia is also the first building block needed to create a healthy ecosystem. There are 4 different methods I have seen used to start your cycling process. The first method, and my personal favorite that I will be discussing, is to use some established filter media, substrate, or live rock from an existing aquarium. This is my personal favorite method just because you do not have to put fish through the cycling process because it can be very stressful for them. And also, if you know somebody with an aquarium or have multiple yourself, this is a very easy method to use. Typically, there are 3 different types of filtration happening within your filter. My personal favorite brand of filtration is an AquaClear hang-on-the-bag filter. And my reasoning for that is because all of the different medias are separated inside of the filter, and there's a lot of surface area for trillions of little bacteria to cling onto. The 3 different types of filtration are mechanical filtration, which is your sponge in your filter, or in a lot of sumps, they're your filter socks or pads. And also, there's chemical filtration, which is your carbon, and biological filtration, which is also your sponge or filter pad, but there's also, in many hang-on-the-bag filters, little ceramic rings, and these are basically just used for the beneficial bacteria to cling onto. Now you can take any of the 3 different medias and put them into your new filtration. You want to make sure that the water in your new, freshly set up aquarium has been dechlorinated, because any tap water that touches the filter media will kill any of the beneficial bacteria. Now, I typically like to use either the sponge or the ceramic rings because they do hold the most waste and beneficial bacteria. Now, using your established filter media as well as some established substrate, even just a handful of the substrate will be sufficient. The substrate also holds trillions of bacteria and little waste particles. This is also why, after your aquarium has been established, that gravel vacuuming your substrate is very important. Using both established filter media and a little bit of established substrate from an existing aquarium is the perfect method to starting your cycling process. Now, in a saltwater aquarium setup, As long as you're using very cured live rock from an established aquarium, you don't need to put established filter media into your sump. The rock itself acts as a biological filtration, so there are trillions of bacteria already on the live rock. So pretty much as soon as you put your live rock into your aquarium, that will start up your cycling process. The second method that I will be discussing to start off your nitrogen cycle is just simply called a fish cycle. Now this is when you get 1 to 3 really hardy aquarium fish such as tetras, platies, swordtails, or danios to start off your aquarium cycle. These fish will actually put natural waste into the aquarium to produce ammonia. During this process, you really want to make sure that you're feeding the fish as lightly as possible. Even every other day is perfectly fine for the first couple of weeks. The fish are not going to starve. 2 to 3 pellets or flakes per fish is perfect. This is so you can help to minimize and slow down the rise in ammonia so that you do not shock the fish in the aquarium. This is definitely not my favorite method to use, and the downside to it is that it does stress the fish out quite a bit, and unfortunately sometimes they do not survive. The third method is to just simply use some fish food. If you add some food such as flakes, pellets, or even some frozen food into the aquarium, that food is going to start to break down and decompose, creating ammonia in the aquarium. The last and my personal least favorite method is to use straight ammonia. Ammonia can be obtained from hardware stores in the form of a water and ammonia solution. It can be very difficult to estimate the amount of ammonia needed because different manufacturers bottle ammonia solutions at different strengths. You will have to kind of experiment with the amount of ammonia that you will need, and sometimes this method can be very inconsistent. I've seen many people have various issues with this method. Sometimes it can prolong your cycling process, and it can be very difficult to obtain healthy bacteria colonies. Naturally, after using one of these methods, you will see an ammonia spike occur. Toxic ammonia is then oxidized to less toxic nitrite, and then further oxidized to the relatively non-toxic nitrate, which is beneficial bacteria. This whole process is performed by 2 separate bacteria. The bacteria in the genus Nitrosomonas is responsible for the first oxidation. During this process, you might notice that your water is looking slightly cloudy, but this is just because you are seeing trillions of bacteria helping to convert toxic ammonia to the slightly less toxic nitrite. Nitrite is the byproduct of ammonia. At this point, there should be no trace of ammonia in the aquarium, although you will notice nitrite starting to spike. Now, a bacteria in the genus Nitrobacter will complete the final oxidative step, converting nitrite into nitrate. Oxygen is needed for this process to occur, which is why it is so important to have good aeration in the aquarium. Typically at this point in the cycling process, you should test your water and see absolutely no trace of ammonia or nitrite within the water. You will see a slight trace of nitrate, which will always be present in the aquarium. Now this process of nitrification will always be occurring in the aquarium. Although if you have a nice bacteria colony, it will break down as ammonia occurs. This is when you know you have a nice healthy ecosystem within the aquarium and you're ready for some livestock. Nitrate in the aquarium is perfectly safe for the fish as long as it is in low numbers. You do want to keep your nitrate as close to 0 as possible, and you will be diluting the water when you do your water changes and vacuum your substrate. This takes out excess waste in the aquarium, making sure your nitrates don't climb too high. The 3 main causes of too high of nitrate within an aquarium is overfeeding, overpopulation of fish, and not frequent enough water changes. Typically, I only feed my fish once a day. They really don't need much more than that. A fish's stomach is only as big as its eyeball, but they will always act hungry. Also, making sure there is absolutely no food resting on the bottom of your aquarium. Decomposing is very important to make sure your nitrates don't climb too high. This also helps to prevent toxic ammonia from ever being present in the aquarium. In conclusion, at the end of your cycle, you should have a nice, healthy, and beautiful ecosystem no matter which method you used. Alright everybody, that is everything for today's video and the beginning of this new series. I hope you all got to learn a little something new about aquariums and their nitrogen cycle, and I hope you enjoyed the beginning of this new series. If you did or didn't, make sure you leave your feedback down in the comments. If you guys do enjoy this type of content, I will be sure to make more, and if any of you have any suggestions about what I could possibly do for my next episode, definitely let me know. Alright, well if you did end up enjoying this video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And you guys can also follow me on Instagram at Callie's Creatures. I hope everybody has a beautiful day, and I'll see you all in another video soon. Bye!